Okay, so this is what I want this to be. Just so everybody is on the same page. This is just me talking for an hour about these runners and what I think about them. And these opinions that I'm saying, the words and the sentences that I'm going to be saying, are my personal opinions, and you can have your own opinions. And you don't have to send that threat to me if I say that your favorite runner is bad. Okay? Can we agree on that? We can all agree on that, and you're not going to cancel me on Twitter if I say that your favorite runner is bad. Am I going to hate on hacks? You will see. Please, let's not start the drama. And I think everybody who qualified is deserved to be here. Okay? In one way or another. So, I think this is the biggest MCSR tournament that we had, a LAN tournament. So, I think this is the biggest tournament of the year and probably is going to remain the biggest tournament for a while. As far as we know, Ludwig said that it's going to be a yearly occurrence. So, and I think that it's important to have some storylines for this tournament. Another thing that I wanted to preface is that I'm not really going to be doing predictions because I think it's hard to predict because a lot of these people never played the LAN before. Some of them did. Some of them have LAN experience. And basically predicting who's gonna win, I think half of it is just predicting if they will get nervous or not. That's literally what it is. And also, I think even the people who do have LAN experience, I don't know how much it will matter because for some people, this tournament matters more than to others. For example, like Hacks. I think for Hacks, this tournament matters a lot more because this is probably gonna be his last tournament this year because I think he's not playing in next playoffs, but he's gonna play NRI, I think, because he leaked that he's got invited to by Curryway to NRI. This is gonna be his last ranked tournament this year. A couple of these people, this is their first LAN. I think for Budgie, his first LAN, HDMI first LAN, Anchor first LAN, Pavkin first LAN. So you get the point. These are my own opinions. And they're made here to build up storylines. And if some runners gonna prove me wrong, then I'm all for it. Okay, I'm not gonna be really predicting, but like I'm gonna be talking about like who's the favorite, who's the underdog, and all of that. Let's start with the first runner. We have Pavkin. Pavkin is an interesting qualifier because he went through the bracket stage. He qualified on the first day, as far as I remember. It was him and Anko that qualified through the bracket. What Pavkin is known for, we all know this. He's the bridge and bastion guy. I think that's all he fucking does. Literally, I think this is the most fun he's ever had in his life. I think he was made for this. I think it's kind of sad for him that there is other splits in the game. I think if it was just bastions, he might be the GOAT. And with that in mind, this is something to look out for because the bastions are his best split, which fucking makes sense. Like it wouldn't make any fucking sense if his bastion splits weren't the best. Okay, then this is his first tournament. This is really, I think, I want people to understand this. This is his first big tournament. He never played in playoffs. He never played in NRI. When he played in EG he got round one. He got round one by Tapple. The only tournament that he played was Raul's Moving Bastions, and he won that. But that one is a bit of a tricky tournament. That one doesn't count. That one's not a real tournament. That one's for fun. So this is important to understand. I think the fact that he qualified is already a big achievement for him because I don't know how long he's been seriously playing ranked because I think in season 8 he didn't play LCQ even. I don't remember if he played season 10. So that's going to be important to look out for. This is going to be his face reveal as well. I don't know. He could get nervous. Who fucking knows? Although, oh yeah, he got eliminated by FFA in FFA tournament by Tapple. And this is his stats. He streamed for 17 hours practicing. What I noticed with his stream times though, he does very short practice streams. But he does a bunch of them. I think these 17 hours were split into like every single session was like 2-3 hours max. So he likes taking breaks. I don't know how that would affect him because he didn't do good in LCQ in season 9. I don't know. I don't remember if he played in season 10. I was looking at it and I didn't put it on the slide, so I don't remember. I think that's important to remember that he could just get tired because I think today we're playing 10 seeds in a row. I don't know how many breaks there will be. I don't know how good he is at the format. He didn't play season 10. Okay, he didn't play. So this is something to look out for because playing 10 seeds in a row is stressful. I think MSS and LCQ format is one of the most stressful because it's like the stress is spread out throughout a long period of time. You know what I mean? Like when you're playing in the bracket, you're playing one match, it's an hour max. Even best of 5, it's going to be an hour 15 max, even with breaks, right? If it goes to the seed 5. If it's best of 3, you're playing for half an hour and you're done. So this is something to look out for. We can, oh yeah. Obviously, he's gonna kill everybody if they don't do low steal. That's something we need to remember. We can look at his stats. He's got, obviously, Bastion split is his best split. top 8%, 236. That's a solid stat line. His fortress split is also pretty good. Nether split is pretty good. Rest of the splits, not so great. We can see bottom 30%, bottom 48% for End and Blind. So what we can say, he's the type of player, I think, that is not as great when it comes to like harder decision-making splits. Because like you can see, the Blind Stronghold are the hardest decision-making splits in the overworld as well. And he's not doing great at them. So that's something to keep in mind for. I think he's pretty decent at the linear seed. I think if we are going to get a bunch of linear seeds, he could do really well. Anyways, that's for Pavkin. I think he's definitely going to qualify through today, but it all depends. I feel like 10 seeds, it will all come down to who's having a good day. That's just how it is always. I think the consistency is going to matter a lot, especially for the fact that if you're the last 2 players left, you don't get a completion, right? I think it's the private room ends when they have 8 players. So it's 3 people get 0 points, right? So that's something to look out for. I would be devastated if Pavkin doesn't qualify through today. I think that if he gets to top 8, I think that would be great. That would be great for him. Yes, this comparison. Okay, I should also explain this, that these stats, they are from this season 11, for everybody except Hags because he didn't play in season 11. Still he hasn't played a single ranked match. These stats are from season 11, the whole season, and it's against Netherite. So these splits are comparing him to everybody else in the Netherite. He does have a Hatsune Miku crosshair, and he also uses the crosshair trail, which I personally dislike. I think the cursor trail in tool screen is a loss of aura. I don't like how it looks. It looks ugly. That's just me though. That's just me. We have to keep going. Our next player, Budgie. As I said, this is my personal opinion. I'm sorry to all the Budgie believers, but he played 6 hours of practice on stream, and half of it he was playing Tetrio. I think he went like once, and for half of his stream he played Tetrio. I think in the past 2 weeks he genuinely played more Tetrio than he played ranked. And you know, like to some people, everybody has their own way like with dealing with things. Okay, like Hax won playoffs when he was fully retired and didn't play until like a week before playoffs. All right, that worked for him. But with Budgie, specifically with Budgie, I want to say that he's only had 1 playoffs appearance, and he got round 1, and he got 12 in Season 9, Season 10 LCQs. So he's not the best player at LCQ format. Let's pay attention to that. And although he qualified through the LCQ format, he did qualify on the second day of the quals. He qualified through LCQ, and he got, was it top 4 or top 3 that you needed to get? And he was pretty solidly in the lead there as well. So he was having a good day. On the day of the bracket before that, on the bracket day, he legit won 4 matches, and in every single match he died. He died in every single match out of his bracket matches, and he died and still won them because the players against him died more. Not the best look for Budgie. Also, like this note that I have on the screen, I really wanted to point out because I don't know what happened to him, because he's been like so up and down. I think he's been like the biggest like up and down player in the past few seasons, because I do remember in season like 7 to 9, I was constantly queuing Budgie. He was always in top 50, always top, like he was like 2300, always like that. And the past like a couple of months, I just remember like watching random people in Diamond and they would always queue him. And it was like so interesting. And I was looking at his graph. He genuinely was dipping into Diamond more than he was in the Netherite in the past like 2 seasons. Or like the past season. Like you can see, season 9, he finished number 9. Season 10, he finished number 66. And then season 11, he's currently at 72. Like that is crazy to me. Like if you have that high of a peak, I don't know like what it is. I don't know Budgie personally. I cannot tell what it is. If it's mental, if it's just he's playing. I couldn't even say that he's playing less, because I think in both of season 10 and season 11 he has over 600 matches. So I don't know. If I had wait, okay, it goes to stats. If I had to give a nickname for Budgie for this tournament, there's a term. In CS, people used to use the term a lot. It's called esports tourist. It's when you qualify to the tournaments, you go to the tournament, and you get round 1. And you're just there as a tourist. You're just there to show up. You're just there to enjoy the LA, to enjoy the beautiful site, to enjoy the tournament. But you're not really there to compete. And I'm sorry. That's mean. I'm sorry that's really mean, but like I have to say that. I have to say that. I think that's what Budgie is gonna be this time. And I'm allowed to say that because if every single season of playoffs was LAN, I would be the esports tourist. I think I got round 1 the most, so I get that feeling. I get it. I totally get it. But if Budgie, I think it's already an achievement considering his latest form. I think it is already an achievement for him to qualify and go to LA. I can't lie. I would be happy if I was him. I don't think he has any big expectations for this, and I wouldn't have. If he proves me wrong, he qualifies today to the next day, I would be happy for him. I think that's great. I think that's a good story of a comeback, regardless of his recent form. He still is gonna, if he still does great, I'll be happy for him. So we can look at his stats, and I'm saying this because I looked at these stats and genuinely tell me how he can win a game. Please tell me. I don't want to be mean. I don't want to be mean, but he's a diamond player. These stats are comparing him to netherite players, and I think he's a diamond player. That's all I have to say. And I'm sorry, Budgie. I'm genuinely sorry. It's on the screen. I can't say anything else. Yes, yeah. I want to preface that he did qualify. He had 2 good, decent days, and he qualified. That's all that matters. He qualified. So he just has to prove us wrong. That's all I have to say. HDMI Cables, I think, is a really interesting player. He had 2 playoff appearances, and they're both were the last 2 playoffs, as far as I remember. And they're both times he qualified through LCQ, and it was not close as far as I remember. Like the 2 LCQ runs that he had were great. Were genuinely great. Like, I think he was ahead, like, throughout the whole LCQ, and I think he figured something out about this format in the past 2 seasons, because he's done really great in them. And before that, I think I looked, he's been playing LCQ since season 5, and he was close like once. I think in season 7 he was close to qualifying. He got like 6 or something. But I think he's a tricky player. Well, first of all, he didn't show many of his practice, so I can't really judge his form. But he did play a bunch of ranked, and he did a bunch of private room practice. I think he's really tricky, and it's all gonna depend on like how he feels on the day. As one wise man said, the hacking noises, he called him Shimon-esque. And I don't really have a better term to describe him. I think he could easily either sweep the competition or he can lose in round 1. I think the way I would describe my expectations for HDMI is that if he sneaks into top 4, if he gets to the semifinals, if he gets into the final, I would not be surprised. I would genuinely not be surprised. I think HDMI has a really high ceiling, and he could easily get into the final on a good day. So that's how it is. And he's going for Kane's % second attempt. The first one failed. Well, let's see how this one is gonna go. We can take a look at his stats. So this is quite interesting because the only stat that really like shows up here is his blind split, but then his stronghold is really not great. So it's hard to say. I think although like overall top 32%, bottom 46, top 34, top 42, and really good consistency on the ends, 1 end split, that's really good. He's really good mechanically, and I think something that he would need, I think he would just need a lot of linear seeds. Yeah, that's also true. Because the when you look at these 2 splits, when you look at the blind split and the fortune split, they're like it all depends on like your habits, if you're blinding early or you're blinding late. Because if for somebody like EDCR, I think he has like top 1% fort split, but it's only because he never pre-crafts. He always blinds as early as possible. So he has like the fastest fort split, but it doesn't really mean much because his blind split gets bumped up. You know what I mean? So it's like one way or another. HDMI, my expectations, like I said, I think he could have a really great run in this tournament. And it would be great for him because I think the only other good run that he had was EG tournament. In EG FFA, he made it to semifinals, I think, and lost in semifinals. So this would be another big tournament for him. And I hope we see him in the bracket. I think having him in the bracket would be really interesting, especially like some matchups against somebody like really consistent but not as fast would be really interesting. It will depend on a lot on the seeds that they roll. I think he's a demon at fast seeds. It's going to be interesting for me to watch HDMI play this weekend. The next qualifier that qualified through the LCQ format as well was Silver. He barely snuck in, as far as I remember. He was 1 point above Paul. He was 1 point above Paul. Paul was 1 point away from qualifying, but we have Silver instead. I think in my predictions for the qualifying, I put Silver in like top 4 to qualify. Oh, Paul and Eric. Yeah, it was both of them. Yeah, they were really good. I think Eric was lower than Paul. I think the reason why Eric what's so tragic is because Eric choked the 0. I think if Eric hits the 0, then Eric qualifies. But Paul was 1 point away from silver. I think that's the difference. I think Silver is an interesting player. I think he's a very unique player in terms of like the way he sees the game and the way he practices. I think he puts a lot of work and effort into improving as a player in general. Anything he touches, not just free running. Like I remember like the way like the first time like I really respected his I don't know if you would call it work ethic, but like his dedication is when there was a small ant lockout tournament, and I remember that for the whole month before the tournament he would just play every single day. I remember we were having scrims and every single day he was playing. He was like constantly on the wiki. So I think the way that I would describe Silver is just like extremely dedicated player. He figures out the small things all the time. Like we all know, always like looks to improve on something. Like if it's Bastion routes, if it's his setup, if it's his hotkeys, if it's anything, like he will always look at something he can always improve on. I think it would be really good. It would be a really great story to see a great run from Silver, because first of all, yes, he has the most LAN experience at this tournament. As far as I know, he attended all 3 MCSR LANs that we had. I think most of the other people attended 2 LANs. That being Pace and Level Up. Pace and Level Up, I think Aquacorde attended, Dugal attended, Fineberg attended, but he attended all the 3. He attended LFI as well. I think that's gonna help him a little bit because he knows more about like weirdness of the setup and try to be as comfortable as possible on the new setup. I think this is the tragic moment that a lot of people need to understand, that he hasn't had a good run in playoffs since Season 2. Season 2, he got to the semifinals, lost to Loki, and he hasn't had a good run since. There was one season where he didn't qualify. There was one season where he lost in round 2 to Loki. He lost in round 2 to Infume. To be fair, I want to point this out. Regardless of this, every single match that he was playing, he played demons. He genuinely had the unluckiest brackets of all time, probably, because he played Loki once. He played Hax 3 times. I think twice or 3 times. I think every single time that he played a player that deserves to be in the final. So I think that's unfortunate for him. And I think he's okay. Yeah, it's important to point out that his latest, the most recent tournament win is at Pace. He won the Pace LAN, which is great. But it's been 2 years, and I really want to see a really good silver run, because I think that he's put a lot of effort and he never gives up, and he like still puts a lot of effort every single time he has a tournament. He prepares very carefully and thoughtfully, and I would love to see a good silver run in this bracket. One thing I want to point out that I think I've heard him say this on stream. He said that he's not going to do load steal, which is interesting to me, an interesting decision, because I like the concept in general, because the way you want to play for a tournament, you want to be 100% sure in everything you do. Every single strat you want to be confident in. If he decides that he's not ready to do load steal, I think that's a good approach to not do something you're not confident in. But I want to say that I'm not sure exactly why, because I think the low steal route has been around for a while, and I think people got really good at it. I think there's like some weirdness with the way it's like kind of random sometimes. Yeah, and consistent with Hologens, I think that's what he's scared of. I think that's why he's not going to do it. So we will see. We'll see. He could lose a seed or 2 to this, because I think most of the people in the tournament are going to be doing load steal, and this is going to be something scary for him. He has been practicing a lot. He had the 47 hours of practice before this tournament. He has been practicing with Dugal a lot together. So we'll see how that plays out. Something that sticks out, that his overworld stats. His overworlds are ungodly. And that reason being, I think, is because he's done a lot of overworld practice. Not only just practice, but he's been watering overworlds a lot since the last, even like before last playoffs, I remember. Because we also, I think one day, he was picking the seeds from the top overworld players and playing them and comparing a lot. So he was basically doing gap check before gap check existed on Overworld. I think that's why. And I think he's really balanced in the way he plays Overworld as well, because unlike there are some players who play Overworld like it's RSG, and they just like, they're never gonna play for consistency. They will just like always play for like speed versus consistency benefit. Like they will just like avoid getting blocks if it's too out of the way. They will avoid getting food if it's out of the way. I think Silver is really great at actually playing for consistency and also being fast. The rest of his splits are all right. As we can see, the worst splits that he has are Bastion and Blind splits. But again, the Blind split is kind of, it gets balanced out by his really good Force split, so it doesn't matter that much. The rest of the splits are decent. The Bastion split is, I think, interesting that he has a bottom 46% Bastion split, because if you watch his match versus Skycrabs in playoffs, I feel like Skycrabs won every single seed with a Bastion gap. Because Skycrabs is the best at Bastions. He has the best Bastion stats because of his urgency. And it's just gonna be really, really important to pay attention to the Silver's Bastion. If he can figure out how to consistently save time in his Bastion splits, that will put the Silver on the map and increase his chances to get a good run in this tournament by a lot. But that being said, we had to move on. Ancoboyy, the last person who qualified through the qualifiers, he qualified on the first day by a bracket run, and he beat HDMI, and he beat I don't remember who he beat again in the finals, but he did really great in the bracket stage. And I think that's something really interesting, because I feel like Ancoboyy is the bracket demon. That's why I'm a little bit scared of Ancoboyy's run through today's format, because I think he's not that great at LCQ format. He's had great playoffs runs. He's had 2nd and 4th places in the playoffs. He has been tricky and turbulent. He's kind of in a way like Budgie, but in a different way, I think, because he's more like HDMI Cables. If I had to compare him, I think HDMI Cables would be a better comparison, because his highs are a lot higher, but his lows are also pretty low. So, and I think his ceiling is really high. I think he's really good at like weird seeds, not necessarily like decision making heavy seeds, but like weird seeds and also linear seeds. So he's not like a one-sided player. I think he's sort of like a balanced player all around. Although I think the turbulence in here, I want to point out, I think he's been not playing as much. I think he's been dipping in and out of MCSR, because he's been I think he's been more focused on studying, if I remember correctly. Somebody can correct me if that's not the case, but I think I remember him saying that he's focusing more on studying and he's been playing less. So one thing, yes, the most important thing I think for him is mental, because I think he gets heated a lot. I think he gets upset a lot if the things don't go his way. That's why I'm scared a little bit for him in this LCQ format, because if something doesn't go his way at the start, I think everything could just burn. Everything could just burn down and he could get out in the first day. I really don't want that to happen, because I think it would be really interesting to see him in the bracket, because in the brackets, I feel like he shines in the brackets. I think when he has time to like reconcile and like lock in on the match in front of him, I feel like he does great. So I really want to see him in the bracket. He shrimmed ranked a little bit, but he's played a lot. I think he's played a lot of practice, both solo and ranked matches. So it's going to be interesting. This is another thing I'm really scared of. I'm really scared that he's going to get anxious. First of all, I don't think his English is that good, because every single time we've heard him in playoffs, he needed a translator. Every single time, Pulsar was translating for him. Although when he chats, his English is fine. So I'm not sure like how good his English is, but whenever he types, he's fine. And he watches the streams, he's fine watching streams. So I don't know how anxious he's gonna be because of the language barrier. This is the first time he's in America, I'm pretty sure. I'm really scared if he's gonna be like just generally uncomfortable at the situation. Like this is his first LAN as well. This is gonna be his face reveal, and he's not gonna be like, I'm just scared he's gonna get anxious. This is all I'm saying. This is what I mean. But I really hope he does well. I hope he does well. But like again, the way I would describe him, my expectations for him is that I wouldn't be super surprised if he gets out round one, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets to like semifinals or finals. So it all just depends on his mental, and I hope he can have a really good mental about it and not stress too much. His splits, another overworld demon. You can see as well, every single split is decent except for the blind split. And I think that's interesting. I couldn't really pinpoint why his blind split is so bad. Maybe this is just a small sample size. In general, every split is decent, and his overworlds are really good. We will see how it goes. I'm excited to watch Anchor play, especially at the LAN. Anchor's, and also like to point out that Anchor has been playing for so long. I remember playing him in season 0 and 1, I think. He's been playing for a long time. He's had some decent playoffs runs. He's never been to a LAN, so this is going to be interesting. I'm really glad that Ancoboyy qualified, because that's one of the OG ranked players, and it's great to see him here. The first player who qualified through playoffs, I think that he's really good. I think that a lot of people sleep on him because of the way his playstyle is. It's hard to like pinpoint what exactly he's good at. I think he's really consistent. I think he is really good under pressure. That's something I can say about Aquacorde. I think looking at his past playoffs, I remember some crazy moments under high pressure. Does anyone remember? Was it seed? It was like, I remember it was match versus Silver. It was match against Silver. I think it was seed 5. I think it was either seed 5 or seed 2 win. I remember that this was the last seed of the match, and he had to hit a 2+2. He had only 4 bats, and he needed to hit a 2+2, and he hits it. That's like the great way to show that he's like just unshakable. And I think he's extremely consistent. And the way also, I found it really funny watching his streams, because every single time he would start with ranked, he starts the stream with ranked. He's like, okay, I'm gonna lock in on ranked. Then he plays for like 2 hours. And he is like, fuck ranked, dude. I want to play RG. Then he plays RG for 2 hours. And he's like, dude, maybe it's boring. And he would swap back. I think he's done like a couple of times. And I find that really funny that he just fucking swaps back and forth. But he like has this like unbelievable love for RG and really wants more record, I assume. So that's kind of funny. That's really interesting. And also like, but I wouldn't describe him as an RG player though, in his playstyle though. When you watch him play, he's like really consistent. He always never like takes like any huge risks. He's not dying a lot. I think he generally like on the safer playstyle of the side. So he's like a really interesting player. He got his at 3rd place last playoff. So this is really interesting. I think Aquacorde is in a good form. He also has a decent LAN experience because he's attended 2 LANs. He's been to Level Up Expo where he upset Infume. He beat Infume in the first round, as far as I remember. And then he beat, in the last playoffs, I think he beat Fineberg and Silver? Who did he beat? He beat somebody. I don't remember who he beat. Oh, he reverse swept Dug. Oh, yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. It was Dug, and he did 2 reverse sweeps. That's another point that I was saying about like how he's unshaken and consistent. Under pressure, regardless, being down to 0, he still plays his best, takes 1 seed at a time. I feel like that's a great showing. And I think he would be, I would say he's like, if I had to explain my expectations for Aquacorde this tournament, I think that he's probably the most likely player to get to the semifinals. Regardless, like there are people with higher skill ceiling and probably also consistent, but he's genuinely like so consistent. And the way I would describe him as a type of player, I think he's going to be a bracket gatekeeper. If people like Infume, Silver, Dugal, Hacks do not play at their best and are not consistent, if they make any big mistakes, he's just not gonna let him through. So he's gonna be a gatekeeper. I think he's gonna get to the semifinals, most likely. I don't know if he has that, like enough of the skill ceiling to be a winner and be in the finals. We will see how that goes. But he's incredibly consistent and I like watching him play. Like I said, not a contender, but I won't be surprised if he gets top 3, top 4. I think that's his storyline. We can look at his stats. Like you can see, everything is solid. Just everything is solid. Nothing sticks out except his blind split is the worst, but then he has a really fast force split. I'm not sure if he progressed or not before blinding, but you can see that like every single split is extremely solid. Nothing sticks out. Good all around player. We have Fineberg. I'm gonna be honest. This is a slide that I was stuck at for longest because I just did not know what to put. He wasn't playing any ranked for like 2 weeks. He didn't play any ranked for 2 weeks. First of all, he was traveling a lot. Second of all, when he wasn't traveling, he was playing draft out. The only time he played ranked was the last 2 days. And at the end of the last day, he gave up and he started playing draft out for the last 4 hours. So I don't know. I think that Fineberg is also like Aquacorde type player. I think his strength that he relies on are consistency and like heavy decision making. I think like if I imagine like an overworld that Fineberg is gonna do the best at is like if there's like so many level pools, there's so many structures, there's like RP and village and everything. Like when everybody gets overwhelmed at the overworld, I think he is like extremely consistent at them and he will find the best line every single time. At like overworlds where like super extremely saturated. That's why he's always been good at like temple overworlds and village overworlds because there's so many decisions to make, there's so many lines you could take, and like it's hard to evaluate which line is the best. And Fineberg is really good at that. I think he's really good at those overworlds. I don't know. I just can't imagine a way that he could like have a high chance of winning or getting to the finals. I think he's kind of like Aquacorde in a way that he's gonna be a gatekeeper. I think he's gonna be keeping the players honest. I think the top 4 players, if they don't do their absolute best against him, he's gonna beat them. Like if you're letting him any chances of winning, he's gonna win the match. Like we've seen that before. Obviously, this is really fucking funny that he won Loki and NHB last season because it all came down to the perch and both times the dragon flew away. That is funny, I have to say, but we need to consider the fact that like they let him be in that position. Like the fact that they didn't just win 3-1, they let that position, they let that happen. They let him be in that situation, and that happened, right? So, and both times, I think both Loki and NHB could have played a seed or two better and then won the match. That's like my description of Fineberg. He's gonna be a bracket gatekeeper. If people don't play their absolute best, don't push it as hard as they can, aren't as consistent, and make mistakes, he's not gonna let them through. And also, yeah, you can read that line yourself. I think he's gonna have more fun hanging out with Ludwig and just being there than playing the matches themselves. Okay, this I can actually point out because if you watch this POV last playoffs, he was so in his head about fortress splits for some weird reason. He was thinking that every single match he loses to Shrey's. I don't know what got to him. I think partially that's because he was playing Infume so much in the ladder that he like got in his head about it or something. Because Infume always plays Shrey's, right? And Fineberg plays versus Infume a lot because they stream at the same time slot and play at the same time. I don't know what got to him, but he was so weirdly upset about Shrey's every single seed. And I think that hurts him a lot. Like, look at his splits. His fortress split is the worst. That's so strange to me. Like, I feel like it can't be this bad because I feel like Fineberg is a consistent player. Like, does he just never go for Shrey's? But then when he goes for Shrey's, he just chooses a bad Shrey's to go for? I just don't understand. I just don't know. Yeah, to be fair, also the fourth split, he is the late blinder. He never, like, he's so slow at pre-crafting and he's so slow at clearing the spawner. I don't know what it is. It's just like his stubbornness. Like, he got a little bit better once he started English search crafting, but he's genuinely like not that great at fortresses. Like, obviously he blinds late, but he blinds late because not because like that's his style preference, but because he just like can't blind earlier. He just cannot blind earlier because he's really slow at pre-crafting and really slow at. That's like the focus that you should be putting is Fineberg's fort splits in this tournament. Like, just seeing how he's gonna be doing with them, and also like surprisingly, his stronghold is not that great in this season specifically, because I think last season his stronghold split was pretty good. I don't know what it is. I think he did change the way he does stronghold. I think he swapped to do. I don't know if he still does actually. I think he still does 30 FOV thin, right? I wouldn't say that he's one of the people who could just not call. I think there is a chance Fineberg just doesn't qualify today. I think there is, but it's pretty low. I think it is pretty low because he did get out in MSS in first 3 seeds. But I think that's like, MSS is so different to compare to this because in MSS there's 100 people, but here it's only 11 people. So it's different. I think there's more metagaming in this one than it is in MSS. I feel like the spread of the skill is not even that like crazy. Like, there's 100 people who can beat ADCR on a seed. You know what I mean? Because ADCR he didn't get many number ones in MSS, right? I think he won like a couple of seeds, but like not that many. But he always was consistently in top 4. So what I'm trying to explain is that like there's so many people who can beat him, but then when there's less people, I think Fineberg is gonna be doing better because I think he also something that he relies on a lot is metagaming. I think he comments like whenever he plays, he comments on like the achievements and what happens in the match to his opponent a lot. So I don't know, we will see. I didn't have many thoughts on Fineberg. I think it would be cool, although I have to say that as an old head myself, I've been playing for a long time. I think it would be really cool to see an OG player winning this tournament. I think it would be really cool to see Anco winning, Silver winning, Fineberg winning. I think it would be just a crazy storyline, regardless, to see an Anco win. I think it would be really cool. But we can move on. Next player, Dugal. I think this is my storyline for Dugal. I think he has incredible highs. His highs are like the highest in the game. And also, Dugal is like a type of player, you know, he's like your favorite speedrunner's favorite speedrunner. Like, everybody loves watching Dugal because he's so incredibly consistent at the same time fast. He manages like the risks of like being extremely fast really well, and that's why he's so consistent. The one season I remember, was it season 7 I think, where he got 80% win rate. That just hasn't happened since season 1 or season 0 Fineberg. Like, he gets those highs as high as like ADCR can get now, but ADCR is a very different type of player though to me. Like, I think it's really interesting to watch Dugal play every single time. I think the one thing that like that's so admirable about him is if you ever watch him learn anything new, he will never start doing it in a run until he's like, he understands it like on such a micro level. Like, if you watched him, I'm gonna put this on the slide. He switched off of crispy route, and I think the reason why he said He said, first of all, I think he said that he was just dying to it too much because of the pig inside the gap, and he just like, he's not 100% sure at it. I think he just like, I was watching him learn the crispy route, and he will do the exact same jump like 100 times until he fully understands how to do it. He was doing this movement into the backup gold in the gap, and he was doing it for legit 15 minutes until he figures out how to do it perfect. Like, he's that type of player. Everything needs to be like, he needs to understand everything like on an atomic level for him to commit to something. And that's like why he's so good and so consistent, because like for me, I remember I think season 3 is when I was reviewing Dugal a lot, and he was so ahead of the curve because he was having like micro routes within routes. I don't know how to explain it. I think he was the pioneer of breaking down a route into smaller routes everywhere. It includes overwalls, it includes bastion, it includes even the way that he does like 2x1 portals. I don't know if he still does this though, but like I remember watching him do portals, and the way he would do portals is like he would break it down into splits, and some split he does faster than the others because he knows that they're like it's like harder to mess them up. So like in 2x1, some of the flicks to place the obby he would be doing slower and some faster, and it's consistent. Like I'll watch like a couple of clips of him doing it, and it's always consistent. So he's like incredibly good at like this micro understanding of everything. I think that comes from his background in bridging, because like in bridging, I remember like watching some of his bridging streams, and he would like analyze his bridging at tick by tick. Like he goes down to like that small of a level to learn something. That's like crazy to me that he does that. His rank practice, he's been practicing a lot. That's something I really think is a good sign, because for example, like for some people, I don't even care if they practice or not. But for Dugal, I think the practice is required, and like a lot of it. If he does that, I think like he's in really good form right now. I think my expectation for him is to win. I think it would be an incredible story because he hasn't won since season 7. He hasn't done in the recent tournaments, he hasn't done well. I think it would be incredible if he won this one. I think that would be an incredible thing to be a contender for the GOAT of MCSR, because he's been doing it for so long. He's had such a high peaks. In his tournaments runs, it's been like up and down generally, because he's lost in playoffs in round 1, I think twice, maybe 3 times even. But then he's also won a lot of playoffs, right? He won 3 or 2. Correct me on that. He also won in the right, like he has those high peaks. And I think the fact that he's been practicing a lot, I think that's a really good sign. I think he's in really good, and I think it's really good to see him play. And I'm like 99.9% sure that he's gonna qualify to the second day. I would be really devastated if we don't see the Dugal in the bracket. I think that would make the bracket really strange. I don't know. It would be really strange to not see Dugal in the bracket. I think this is a good redemption tournament for Dugal, and I hope he does really well. We can look at his splits. I think this is just like great splits, because these are the splits that you want as a good consistent play. And like overalls are really great. That's good. And then there's nothing that dips down a lot. Everything is within 20. Top 18, top 18, top 22, top 20. And then his end split is surprisingly low. I don't know why that is, because to me, he's really good at end fights. But maybe there's just a sample size thing. Maybe it's just a sample size thing. Also, his blind split is lower than the fortress, but again, those two are kind of interchangeable, so we can't really judge on that. I think his splits are good. I think he's a really consistent player, and I would love to see him win. We have to move, though, to Mongey. Mongey is a really interesting player. He's the most unorthodox player in MCSR, if you know what I mean. Like the way I would describe him, I know everybody always says this, that he's he's not methodical. He's like, what's the word? Kure was always saying this word. I don't remember. Cerebral. That's the word. Kure always describes him as cerebral, and I think that's such a perfect description of him, because he gets really creative. I think he shines on extremely heavy decision-making seeds. I think the harder the seed is, the more likely Mongey is to win. But he's also surprisingly good at linear seeds. I don't know what it is. I think it is just the nature of his playstyle is so simple. He never does too much, and he's I don't know, he's just really good at them as well. So at the same time, when you watch him, he doesn't have that urgency. When you watch Hacks or Skycrabs, they have that urgency, and low-key. You watch those players and they have this urgency constantly of pushing every single split. Mongey doesn't really have that, but then he's more of on Infume, Fineberg, Aquacorde type player, where he always focuses on making a correct decision 100% of the time. He will never commit to a decision that he is not sure. He will take his time and always rethink his decisions thoroughly. On the other hand, we want to talk about his recent form. He's been grinding draft up. He has not been playing ranked almost at all. I think he's done 2 ranked streams, and they were really long sessions. And if you watch those, they whenever Mongey has a really long rank session, it does get really sad. It's genuinely like it gets really sad, and you don't want to be watching that. It gets really sad. Sometimes, like when he goes no mic at the end of his session, you know it's bad. You know it's really bad. That being said, his recent form isn't great, but I have to say he beat Hacks twice in best of 11. He beat Hacks twice, and now Hacks owes him Chick-fil-A and he owes him Canes. He did beat Hacks twice, who Hacks was practicing a lot. It's interesting. I think Mongey is one of the players that I wouldn't be disturbed a lot for not having a lot of practice because of his playstyle. Like I said, he doesn't, I think he's fine with being uncomfortable in the setup. All he cares is about his decision making. Fun fact, LFI. The two people who were in LFI finals was me and Mongey, and both of us have not touched a PC for 2 weeks before LFI. Genuinely, the first time me and Mongey touched a keyboard and a mouse was at LFI. So I would not be surprised if he does really well. That's what I'm saying. I don't think he needs that practice. He's not Dugal. He doesn't need like to understand everything on a like atomic level. I think he's still can do really well. I wouldn't call him a bracket gatekeeper, but I think he has the potential of doing really well. He's done the 19 hours of ranked practice on stream. And those were 2 sessions, I'm pretty sure. I'm fairly confident that all those 19 hours are in 2 sessions, and 57 matches were in 2 sessions, which is incredible. So we'll have to say that. And also, this is extremely funny. He messaged me yesterday. Dude, he was at the airport. He got interrogated. It was so fucking funny. He was explaining to some, like, I don't know if it was a TSA officer, I put it a TSA officer, but it was just some random guy from, like, the airport, like, and he was interrogating him, which was so fucking funny. And also, okay, remind me later, to show something else from Mongey. He has something else. I think he's gonna aura farm this LAN. I think he's gonna absolutely aura farm this LAN, and I'm here for it. That being said, the stream, I think the main stream somebody said is already up, right? So I don't know when the matches are gonna start or like the seeds are gonna start. So we don't have a lot of time. So we need to wrap this up. We have his splits. As you can see, everything is good all around, just decent. But you can see that he's better at heavy decision-making splits. Like you can see that he's really good at stronghold, really good at blind. Those are the splits that I think he does really great at. The fortress, he's bottom 34%, but he's a late blinder. He does blind really late, and I think he's also like Fineberg. He's not that great at pre-crafting. I think he like gets caught up pre-crafting a lot. So we'll see. We'll see how he does. I hope we get a good run. I hope we like there are some really interesting matchups that we can see if Mongey plays. And other like heavy decision-making players, and it will be interesting to watch. The next player we have, Skycrabs. I'm not gonna lie, like I said before, I think that Dugal is in my top 3 to win, and I think Skycrabs is the second person that I think is most likely to win this tournament. I think he's been having an insane streak of tournaments. He won EGFFA. That requires insane consistency throughout because it's a best of 1 bracket. He won Level Up Expo last ranked run. He got 3rd place in Season 9 in playoffs. That being said, I want to point out, okay, like generally we can talk about his playstyle. He is kind of like Infume in a way that like if you remove the timer, if you remove the name, and if you just watch them play, you wouldn't like it's not obvious why they're so good. If you watch like Dugal or Loki play or DCR even, you can tell why they're so good. But I don't think that's the case with Skycrabs or Infume because their mechanics are not flashy, but they're really good. They have really good mechanics because they don't do anything extra and they're like really consistent. And that's what matters. Like that's like the flashiness and like the mechanics being like nice to see, to watch is not the point in speedrun if you can be really fast. That's the case. He also, yeah, he does top space. I think Aquacorde is also the only other person who does top space, which is really interesting. But yeah, the way I would describe him, because he is such an RG player, he has that urgency. He always pushes those splits. At Level Up Expo, he played versus Fineberg, I think. And there was one seed where he was so ahead, but he played so risky and it was so unnecessary. So he misjudged like the risk he needs to take, but he like, because he always has that urgency to push faster and faster, to not let like the lead slip away. You know what I mean? So that's something really interesting to see and like to pay attention to because he does take a lot of risks, more risks than any ranked player. I think he plays the riskiest out of anybody in this tournament, probably. But at the same time, like, he doesn't get punished a lot for it. And when the risk work out, it's like always a really big payoff. It's always like he takes like only smart risk, if you know what I mean. That being said, he didn't qual to Season 10 playoffs through LCQ format. I think because of that. I think there were some seeds where he pushed too much. I think there was like, even on the first seed that wasn't LCQ, I remember that he was in the stronghold like so fast, but I think did he leave on 11 or no, he mismeasured. I think he mismeasured. Yeah. Like he was so ahead, but then he mismeasured. A lot of mistakes like that can kill the run could happen from Skycrabs. But at the same time, if he gets the flow, he can sweep the competition, and he's incredible at that. He's incredible at pushing the splits. He could gap like anybody. He could gap Dugal, he could gap EDCR. I think he's really good. And I think he's my second most likely player to win the tournament. We can take a look at his stats, and these are insane stats. This is not a huge sample size, but this season, I think he's the only player who has a sub 9 average currently. His stats are just like unbelievable. I don't know what he's smoking, what he's drinking, what he's eating for breakfast, but these stats are insane to me. And that's what I mean by pushing the split. I think he will just never... Some ranked players have this thing where... I think EDCR has this a lot, where he makes decisions based on the pace of your opponent, and he will slow down to ensure that he has as high win rate as possible. I don't think that's the case with Skycrabs. Skycrabs is the definition of a speedrunner. I think the ranked players don't push that as hard, but Skycrabs is a speedrunner. Like, I think he's the biggest speedrunner out of ranked players. I think probably because he plays RG. I think that's just like what it is. But that being said, like I said, he takes a lot of risks, and I think people need to watch out for that. We have to move on. Infume. I think... Oh, also, okay, I wanted to say... I want to point out that he grinds a lot of practice in offline. I forgot to mention this because I saw somebody say that he didn't practice a lot. He did still practice a lot, but he always does his practice offline. If you watched ever, he never practices before playoffs online. He never practices on stream. He always practices offline. So I think this is fine. I think he kept the same routine. I think this is a good sign for Skycrabs. I think he's in a good form, and I will love watching him play in this tournament. We have Infume. Infume is interesting. I'm gonna say a hot take because I think I've seen some notion from people. I don't know if it's majority. I don't know what people think, but the way I would describe Infume for this tournament is, well, first of all, let's talk about his playoffs and runs. He had playoffs second place twice. He lost to Aquacorde in Level Up X, but that's what I remember. Oh, he beat EDCR. Oh, I'm lying. Sorry. Yo, my bad. This is wrong. Wait, I can look at the bracket. I have the bracket open. Do I? No, I don't have the bracket open. My bad. Caught. I had to rush these. I'm sorry. These are wrong. I think he's my third most likely player to win. I think it is important for Infume to break his curse. I think he's LAN cursed because he's lost the last LAN, and he got second place twice. He's been so close to winning playoffs, to winning a tournament, but he lost twice. I think, as far as I remember, the only tournament he won is NRI, right? As far as I remember. Please correct me if that's not true. But I think he does have a second place curse, kind of like Hacks used to. I think it would be a great story if Infume overcomes that and wins this one. I want to say that the reason why I think he's going to be a sleeper pick for a lot of people, I think some people, people have been asking, has he been practicing? Because he's been grinding lifesteal a lot, but I checked his profile. He has been doing a decent amount of practice. He hasn't done a lot of practice, but it's a decent amount of practice. And I think that might actually benefit him because the last few playoffs, I think the more he practices, the worse he does. I can't lie. Except maybe like the last playoffs is an outlier because he did practice a lot and he got the second place. But I think for the way his playstyle is, he's kind of like Mongey on steroids and Fineberg on steroids, where he's like, his decisions are always correct. If you watch him play against like a really good player like Hacks or EDCR, they're like the players you expect to be extremely fast. If you watch Infume play them, you will be surprised how much he gaps them, because like there's nothing in his gameplay that sticks out as incredibly fast, kind of like Skycrabs, but his decisions are just always correct. Like his terrain nav, his like bastions, like even he has a really good mechanics. I don't want people saying that he has bad mechanics. I think people misunderstand what mechanics mean. Mechanics are like the physical ability of like doing things fast. I think he's really good at that. I think his micro isn't as great. Micro is like the way you do things. The mechanics is just like your ability to do things. And I think he's really good at that. I think he's really good. And I would like, this is one of the best stories for him to win. I think he's done enough. I think he's had some tough losses. Something to point out is his movement. I think people, now that like I and a couple of other people have been screaming how insane his movement is, because like whenever I remember what reviewing my seeds in MSS and I was comparing to Infume, and there were like so many seeds where he just saves like 3 seconds, and then like he keeps that 3-second lead, and it's just like impossible to beat him because of that, because he like all of his decisions are just perfect. So whenever he gets like that ability to save any time on movement, he does it, and that's just like bumps his win rate by a lot. So I don't know how common this sentiment is, but he is a little bit of a sleeper pick. I think people will sleep on him because he's been getting second places. He lost to Aquacorde. He lost in playoffs before. He had one really bad day in that one playoffs where he lost 6-0. He had that one playoffs where he lost in round 1 to Retropog. So I think people will sleep on him, but I think he's done enough. This would be incredible story if he's able to win this one. This is like when the lights are the brightest. I hope he does well. I hope he doesn't get overwhelmed, and I hope he believes in himself. I hope he can do it. We can look at his stats. Just incredible stats. Like, just look. He's like probably one of the best. Like, he's probably the best overall player if you don't count myself, because I don't really play the game anymore. I think his overalls are interesting in a way that he plays them extremely risky. He's like if you ever watched Infume play and Village Overworld, like I swear the amount of food he enters, I swear his average bread on Nether Enter on Village Seeds is probably like 3 at most. Like he genuinely runs the whole seed on apples and carrots, not golden carrots, regular carrots, and then it's fucking, he still is able to maintain these crazy splits. So I mean, he makes it work. That's what matters. Last player, and then we're watching. Sorry. Last player. No, I'm not skipping hacks. Okay, sorry, but we cannot skip hacks. All right, like, can we be serious for a second? We're not skipping hacks. If you said skip hacks, you're a moron. I'm sorry. Okay, I want to point out. I'm gonna be really quick. Hags has done an insane amount of practice. I think he's the most practiced player in this tournament. He's done the most work. I think he's been managing his practice is really good. But I want to say that it's different. It's different from what he did before. He never was this kind of player. He's been doing this fucking EDCR LARP marathon for 16 days, and that's not hacks. That is not hacks to me. That's not the kind of player he is. He does not need this. What he needs, to me, personally, I think, if you ever watch his playoffs runs, he's just fully retired during the season when that happens. He practices at the last few days, backloads the practice as much as possible, and then what he wins on is his insane intuition and like confidence. That's the two things. Procrastinator, yes, the great procrastinator. That's him. That's literally what he does for exams, and that's literally what he does for playoffs, and it's worked out in the past. He's always been extremely consistent doing that, so I'm scared why he changed that. Because there were a lot of things, like I said, he lost to Mongey in private rooms, but the way he lost, I think most of the seeds that he lost, he just died. He played inconsistent, died. He was doing the strats that he wasn't confident on, because he learned a lot. He was learning a ton of strats and implementing them, and I don't think 2 weeks is enough for him for that. I think it might backfire on him. But at the same time, if he finds that flow, if he finds that flow state, if he finds the confidence, I think another thing, he's not playing today. He is exempt from the seeding, from the LCQ. So he's not playing today. So he's not going to be able to I don't know how their setups is. I don't know if is able to practice right now. Really weird. Well, he's playing today. He's probably playing on the first round of bracket is today, because I don't remember if it's today or it's tomorrow, if all of the brackets today. But my point being that he's not going to have like the leeway of being able to play these 10 seeds and to get adjusted, to get used to his new things and everything. So that's the scary part of hacks for me. And also, this is probably going to be his last speedrunning tournament except for NRI this year. So that's all I have to say. That's all I got for you. And hold on, where's the stream?